Hello, this is Dutch, and this is Redstone for Beginners, lesson number 1. In this video I will be talking about the very basics of redstone, which is redstone dust and redstone torches and the interaction between those two, as well as some basic stuff on levers, buttons, pressure plates, and some very basic logic gates, such as the NOT, AND, and OR gates. Now, if those terms are unfamiliar to you, then you're in the right place, and if you already know about this stuff, then I suggest you skip ahead to the next lesson if it is already available to you, or you should probably wait until I release the next video in this series. Alright, so let's begin. So I'm going to assume basically zero knowledge of redstone from this point, and we're gonna work it up from there. Alright, so basically your be-all do-all is redstone dust. Redstone dust allows you to carry currents, basically. So if I were to put a redstone torch here, that would power all of this redstone, which brings me to the redstone torch. This is basically a power source. Whenever you put down a redstone torch, any dust that is directly next to it will get powered. So if I put it in the corner here, as you can see, the redstone dust will connect to it, and it will get powered, and in turn that will power this entire square. That's just the very basic use of a redstone torch. Now then, one of the fundamental rules of redstone dust is that the current will only travel for 15 blocks. As you can see, this is all powered, but once we reach this 15th block, the next one will not be powered. Now this is one of the limitations of redstone, but given the tools we have today, we can pretty easily work around that. And for instance, if we wanted to receive power on this end, we could just shorten the circuit here and it would receive power, and then we could just remove this entire part. It wouldn't matter because this is less than 15 blocks, so the power reaches all the way. So redstone dust can also travel upwards, one block at a time, as you can see here. So if we put a redstone torch here, it would power it all the way to the top. It cannot climb more than one block, so if I were to remove this and do it like this, then this would not get powered. Okay, so it's only one block at a time. Now then, there are some exceptions to this rule because in this setup, the power can basically also travel downwards. So if I were to put a redstone torch here, the power would also travel down. However, when you put redstone on top of either a top half slab, glowstone, or an upside down stair, which I actually don't have set up here, but then the power will be able to travel upwards, but it will not be able to travel downwards. As you can see, this remains unpowered, and this goes for both glowstone and top slabs. This principle can be very useful actually, but we will not be making use of it today. But considering this is all about how redstone works, I included it. Alright then, so here we will elaborate on the interaction between dust and redstone torches. So as I said before, dust is powered by redstone torches, and this also works if the redstone torch is attached to a block. As long as the dust is directly next to the torch, it will get powered. This also works when the torch is above the redstone dust, as you can see. And redstone torches will also power the block above the torch. So if I were to put redstone dust here, it would get powered by this block, or by this torch. Now this is actually something interesting, because here the redstone torch is not actually powering the dust itself, but it is powering this entire block. So if I were to remove this dust and put some here, that would also get powered because it's receiving power from this block. So this is actually an indirect connection between the torch and the dust. this basically means that you can, if you were to move this block, then you could have it like this. So now it's powered and now it's not. And this is going to be very useful later on, but it's not going to be used in this lesson. So we'll talk more about that probably in the next video. Okay, so here we have the principle that if you power a block, or well, if you lead redstone straight into a block that has a redstone torch attached to it and power it, the redstone torch will change states or just turn off. This works both if the redstone torch is on top of the block or if it's at one of the sides. The only thing that has to be right is that the dust has to lead straight into the block. So if I were to change it to be like this, then it wouldn't work because it goes alongside it, and then it won't reach the torch and the block. So it has to be straight, and this is actually the most basic logic gate that we can build, which is basically the NOT gate, which means that when the input, which in this case is this piece of redstone dust, and is on, then the output, which is this dust, will be off, and also vice versa. So if this is off, this is on. And this is basically the most important logic gate, because basically all other logic gates are built up out of these in some way or another. So this is very important. Okay, so over here I made use of some redstone lamps in order to demonstrate the different ways we can use to power redstone, because while over here we've always used the redstone torch, but of course things like levers, which are just on or off. When you click them once, it turns from off to on or from on to off. You have the button, which gives, when you click it once, it gives a pulse of about a second, and then it will turn off again. So it'll be on for a second and then it turns off. And then we have pressure plates, the stone pressure plate, which just is on as long as a person is standing on it, and the wooden pressure plate, which works the same but will also work if there is an item on it. And this will also work with things like boats and minecarts, although we wouldn't really use a wooden pressure plate to detect a minecart because there's a different block in the game for that, but we'll be discussing that at a later time. So yeah, this also works with items. And then in the latest snapshots, if 1.3 has not been released, that is, when you're watching this, there will be these tripwires. And this is basically the same as a wooden pressure plate. So if you step on them, they will turn on. If you throw an item in there, they will also be on. But the difference is that these can be extended, so this wire could be up to 40 blocks long, and it would still power the part where it's attached to the wall when you step on it. And these can also be suspended in midair, so that can be pretty useful when perhaps you want to see if a person is coming through somewhere, but you don't want to put something on the floor. So you could have it at this level here. So I could put these one higher and it would still detect the person. But yeah, these are basically, they work the same as a wooden pressure plate. Okay, so now for more logic gates. Next to the NOT gate, which we already explained, the most basic logic gate is the OR gate. And that basically means that if either one of these, so if I pull this one, the light will go on. If I pull this one, it will also go on. Or if they are both turned on, then the output will be on. So in this case, this is our output, which leads into this block, which powers the light. So as long as either one of these is on, it will be on. Unless they're both off, then they'll be off. The way I achieve that here is just by leading the redstone to the same piece and then going out. You can do the same by just having both of your inputs leading straight into the block you want to power. So this is similar to what I explained earlier, that it will only work if they're going straight into the block. So if I were to put an extra piece of redstone here, this one would no longer work and it would just be only connected to this one. Okay, now a variation on the OR gate is the NOR, or NOT OR, which is basically an OR gate hooked up to a NOT gate. So that basically means that the output will be on when both inputs are off. When I turn one of these on, the lamp will go off, and when they're both on, it will also be off. Set the time today. So that's basically the exact opposite of the OR gate. Now the next one over here is the AND gate, and this one's pretty useful. This will basically be off unless both of these inputs are on. As you can see, the light turns on when I pull both levers down. If I turn one of them up again, it will be off. This can be pretty useful in a lot of things, and it's set up like this. So you basically have these two torches, this redstone will lead to these torches, and as you know, this is basically a NOT gate. So when this is on, this one will be off. And then behind here is another NOT gate. So these will both have to be off in order for this to turn off, as redstone torches are power sources. And then this NOT gate will turn on, and that will power the lamp. So that's basically how the AND gate works. And then we have over here the NAND gate, or NOT AND, and which is basically the same thing, except the inverter, the NOT gate at the back, has been pulled out, so it's the direct opposite of the AND gate. So it is on as long as both inputs are off, and when I turn no, it'll be on unless they're both off, or the inputs are both on. So it's the direct opposite. While here, when they're both on, is the only time when it will be on, and over here, when they're both on, is the only time when it will be off. So basically, using all of the things that I've shown you today, you could create a very basic combination lock, like I have made over here. So basically, the combination for this lock is that this one, and this one has to be on, and then the light will turn on. And if I pull any additional levers, the light will go off. In fact, I could have them all on and it would also be off. Or if I have not enough levers pulled, it would also be off. So basically, it's a combination lock. Now, I would suggest that you go into Minecraft, create a creative world like I've done here, and try to create this on your own. See if you can do that. It should be pretty easy if you've remembered all the things that I've shown you, and you can rewind the video to see how everything is built up. You should be able to build this, and I really urge you to do that. So if you want to try that, I suggest you pause the video, and if you really can't figure it out, then you can continue, because I'm now going to explain how this works. Okay, so let's just turn these all off here, and I will show you. Okay, so basically I wanted this lever, and this lever to be on for the light to be on. So I made a AND gate here, and this is actually a variation on the AND gate, which is a triple AND. So all three of the inputs have to be on in order to get the output to be on. And this is basically the largest you can make a simple AND gate like this. If you wanted to have 4 inputs, you would have to use you would basically have to use 2 AND gates and then have those lead into another AND gate. So you have to use 3 AND gates as opposed to just 1 as I have here. But yeah, that's basically how that works. You could have also just created 1 AND gate for 2 of the inputs, and then had that run into a second AND gate along with the third input. So you could also use 2 AND gates in order to achieve the same effect, but this is more efficient for the amount of space, so I did that. So then the 2 levers which I didn't want to be on in order to have the correct combination, I used the fact that redstone can go up, and carried them over to the same point. So this is basically an OR gate, and with the inclusion of this NOT gate, it is now a NOR gate. So this will be on unless one of those is also turned on. So basically what that means is that they will both have to be off in order for this to be on. So you can't have one of those levers pulled because then the combination will be incorrect. And this, together with the output from the 3 levers that I want to be on, is going into another AND gate. So and then that output will go all the way over here to this lamp, and as you can see I used two NOT gates behind each other here in order to extend the signal, because this is more than 16 blocks, and there is a block in the game which allows us to do this a lot easier, but before that block was implemented, this is how people used to extend signals. You would have 2 repeaters either behind each other like this, or you could have something like this, where this is probably the easiest way to do it. So there. But yeah, this is actually obsolete, and we'll talk about why that is in the next video. And I'm pretty sure you already know actually, but it's not important right now. So this leads all the way to the lamp. So yeah, basically if I pull one of these wrong levers, one of the inputs of this second AND gate will always be off. So it doesn't matter if I pull the 3 levers that are correct, which are these 3. As you can see, this input is now on, but this one will be off because one of the wrong levers is pulled. So if I don't pull this one, then the light will go on. So that should be pretty clear. You should understand how this works, and I hope that if you have built it yourself, that you've done something roughly similar to this. If you haven't and it still works, that's also great. That means you did it differently than me, but that's not always wrong. You know, when building things with redstone, there's usually multiple ways to do it. Of course, it would be best to do it the way that doesn't use as much space. This is, well, not the smallest it could be, but it's not horrendously big either. It could be a lot smaller actually, but then we would have to use some of the things that I did not actually cover. So I just did it very basically like this. And yes, that will be all for this lesson. I hope you managed to successfully replicate this by now. And next time we will be talking about more advanced logic gates, which will basically allow us to create stuff like a door that has 2 switches on both sides. And well, we'll be talking about that next time. So yeah, I'll see you guys then.